Here's a nice bass, 2-pound range. Let's bring him in here. Oh my gosh, it's a heavy one. Look at that. Well, you know, when I drop shot, folks, I've showed this before, but a lot of you are new to the show. And what I did is I do the bobber stoppers now with, yeah, you know what? Let's get this back in there. You know, they're spawning so you can see how fat this fish was. So let's let him go. Ready? Let's see if he comes up and jumps again. He is. Well, you can see that we caught him on the new bobber stopper drop shot. I invented this like 3 years ago, and there's not a lot of people that use this. I'm probably the only one that uses it in Arizona. But in our bass fishing seminars, I've taught this many times at the Bass Pro Shop of doing this technique. It's a really neat technique, you know. And maybe later I'll pull off the bobber stoppers and show you what they look like. And you're just using 2 bobber stoppers. You put one on, you put the hook on, then you put the other one on, and it holds it in place. So let's catch another fish. And I'm just using a bait caster on this one, all right? So I've got 12-pound test line here, but the secret is I got a swivel on this connected to the 12, and I have 8 fluorocarbon as a leader. So you can have as much thick as line as you want up at the top, tie it with a swivel, put 8-pound fluorocarbon on there, 3 feet of it, put your worm on, your drop shot, you're set to go. So I have a red crawler, robo worm red crawler on here. So we'll go through and see if we can't get us another fish. So we're just gonna flick this out in front of the boat like that. Let that go down, hit the bottom. Most of the fish are coming in close to the shore right now. And as we move up the lake, you'll see that they're moving in. You'll see how close I am fishing to the shore. And it could be 2 feet off the bank, or it could be 15 feet off the bank. So I'm targeting some of these little coves like this, these little indentations, like just right out there. I'm just pitching right now, just pitching that lure. I'm not casting it. If you can learn how to pitch a bait, it's so much better, and it's so accurate. Like every time I flick one out there, I'm looking ahead on what I want to do next. So everyone says to me at the Bass Pro Shop, where do you know how to cast? Where do you place that lure at? You know, how are you doing it? When you look at a bank and you see it's sandy, and all of a sudden you come to a rocky spot like this is a gold mine. This fish migrate to these rocks because we got some stumps here, but we don't have a lot of fish here. So that rock in the water over there, I'm gonna pitch to that rock that's in the water, coming out, right up to it, like that. Pull it off the rock. I actually hit it on there. And there should be fish like that. That's where they congregate, you know. And I'm just dragging that worm. I'm not sitting there and shaking it like this. I'm just pulling it like a Texas rig. So I fish my drop shot just like a Texas rig. Now, this is what happens to most of the people I take fishing, and it happens a lot. You have to get in the mindset that if you pull it, in between, you stop and you're resting, and all of a sudden you feel that tick or something abnormal is happening, set the hook right away. The reason is, when you feel the tick, the fish has that bait in his mouth and he's chewing on it. If you wait till the second tick, he's spitting it out. So many people miss their bites. So as soon as and there's several ways to set that hook. You know, I'll get one here in a minute and then I'll show you. You know, cast it out, let it go to the bottom. Sometimes 90% of the time, if they see it go down, they're gonna take it. Okay, just went over a rock. I'm just pulling it along, just kind of like a Texas rig or a jig. I'm just pulling that sinker along, and I'm feeling all those little rocks coming down this shoreline. Just pulling it, pulling it, pulling it. So if I got to there and I pulled it and I stopped, and I felt that tick, you don't have to rear down and set the hook hard. These hooks are sharp. You know, all you gotta do is just go boop, and you get one. So we're gonna just fish a little bit here, and then when I get one on, I'll show you. I'll just say, oh, there's a bite, and then pop, then I got the fish. So now I got the pressure on. So when you see little rock piles like this, these piles come way out in the lake. They come way, way, way out here. So I'm looking at a big old bunch of rocks out here, which are magnets for the fish. And I don't know if the camera can see that or not. But there's big old boulders and stuff following the shore right on down. So usually what you see on the shore is coming out in the lake. Well, since we just got a bite here, let's keep trying this. I'm just coming down that nice slopey thing right there. Oh, there's my tap. Coming up. And another drop shot fish doing a red crawler. But you guys can see that, you know, how this works with the weight and the fish where it's hooked. The weight's sitting right on the worm and right on the hook. You have no more tangles with this method at all. So I'm just gonna, and you catch them almost always right there on the top of the fish, like that, so that they can be released, you know, for somebody else to catch. So, but it's a good method. I mean, you don't get stuck that much, and if you do, you know, the fish slides down. Now I don't have to untangle this mess. I just have to straighten the worm out, slide it back up with the bobber stopper, and it's done. So let's get this back in. Let me see if I can get him to jump. Nope, he wants to go down. Cool. So we're just gonna reposition this worm. I Texas rig all my worms. I don't nose hook them. So I'm just gonna take this, hook this back up, 1/8 of an inch on the hook, pull it up. Remember, the trick is make sure that worm is straight. It's gotta be straight. If you got your worm all watered up. Now there's my bobber stopper on the bottom. Might be hard for you to see, I'll get a little closer, but it's black. So I'm using a black one on the bottom, a red one on the top. And it doesn't matter if they're both black, or it just doesn't matter. So I'm gonna slide that up. And actually, that's pretty deep. I'm actually catching them today. I'm catching them a little bit closer to the bottom, 8 inches. So it's basically what I'm doing, just, you know, like this. So let's go out and catch a few more. We're fishing a point right now. And if I can get the camera turned around, I'll show you guys right here on the corner. On these steep banks, like we're looking at right here, this is a good summer pattern, winter and summer pattern, that I'll throw that bait in 2-3 feet of water, and then I'll pull it off. Because if you look up the bank, you can see how it just vertically drops off on a 90-degree angle. So, and I'm gonna pitch this. You notice I'm using the bait caster again. So I switch off between the spinning and the bait caster. So I'm just gonna pitch that up 2 feet from the bank. Now I'm gonna raise my line. When your line bows like this, you know it's on the bottom because it's only gonna drop 2 or 3 feet. So I'm gonna turn the boat so you can see this. So it's going down, and I'm not shaking it because they don't want a lot of, some days they want it shook like crazy and some days they don't. So I'm actually just pulling this real slow, just pulling this off, and it's just going down, and it's bumping the rocks and going down the sand. I just keep working it down. I'm working it down to about 15 feet today. It seems like after 15 feet I can't get bit, you know. So things like this where that rock is entering the water right there, I don't know if you can see that, where it goes down right in the water, that's a good place to hit, like that right there. Bring that across, because you got smooth rock and then you got rocks that are actually piled on that shoreline. So we're just gonna let that go back down. But you never know where you're gonna find your fish. You just don't, you know. They could be anywhere. Like the two we caught were on the other side of the buoy over there. So we caught 2 over there. We're gonna venture back over that way and see if there's another one. I mean, we'll try it again, you know. It might be good. Maybe there's 2 or 3 over there where I can get another one to bite. So I'm just gonna pitch that out nice and easy, feed it a little line, lift up, because as that bait sinks, sometimes with about a 90% of the chance, you're gonna get that bite. Nope. Let's try it again. Just kind of keep testing. You want to test too and see how deep you are as you're coming down. I'm feeling the rock now. That where I just caught that last one, there's a lot of little rock down there, about 4 or 5 feet off the bank. So I'm just kind of going down a little bit at a time. I'm not shaking it at all, I'm just pulling it. There's 2 ways to catch these fish on a drop shot. Some days they want it where you just kind of shake it like this, you know, as it goes down. And then there's days that they just want that bait just pulled down the mountain. So I'm gonna get back out to 10 feet. I'm gonna throw it back up again, right up there, right where I caught that other one, and just see what happens. We're just kind of let that real slow. Remember, they're just coming out of spawn. They're not even spawning, they're moving up to spawn, but they're coming out of deep water, a lot of them, and they want to move up, and the buck bass are looking for a place to spawn. So I'm only sitting in 9 feet of water. I'm pretty close to the bank now. Normally I like to keep my boat in 15 feet, 20 feet at least, unless I'm fishing real deep. So I look for spots to throw, like I'm looking up there where it's coming out on the rock up there. So I'm gonna throw up there like that, right there. And I'm just gonna let that go down. Lift up my rod, because sometimes when it hits the bottom, the fish is already on it. So I just kind of pull that down. We could have caught the only 2 fish on the bank. Who knows? There's a lot more along here though. We just came along this steep stuff here because I like fishing this in the summertime. See how steep it is? You know, and I like drop shotting it and Texas rigging and throwing jigs on this bank, you know. It's just a time when after they spawn, they come up here, and as long as the shad's here, they'll pull up on this bank. But you know, you can't go wrong with a point coming down on the side of a mountain. You know, if you don't know where to fish, either fish big rocks or fish points coming down. That's just a no-brainer right there. So, get that hook set. Fat little sucker, huh? Is he gonna jump? He's jumping. He's doing his acrobats for us. All right, in the boat, here he comes. Oh God, that's a fatty. Whoops. Whoops. Did he keep my hook? Did he keep my hook? No, no hook in there. All right, shall we let this one go? Oh, it's coming out the back of the boat. Another nice fish. Look at that. Boy, they fight hard in the springtime like this. Nice fish. So with this drop shot method, you actually can swing them right in like this. And look where we caught him. Caught him right there. There's my drop shot right there. I reach in. Wow. Stick my finger in there. Take out the hook. That's a nice little Bartlett Lake bass, 1.5 pounds, 1 3/4. So it's a fun day out here. I'll tell you, when the springtime like this, it's great. So let's just let him go. See if we can get him to jump again. Oh, he's gonna go down. We're gonna give this point just a little bit more, you know, because it's so good. And I've caught a lot of fish off this point, you know. So we're just dragging it off the ground. There's my tap. Let's get him in. I'm gonna quit here in a minute, but this drop shot has been so good today. Might be a little one, but that's okay. Nice, it's a pretty good size one. Oh my gosh. That ain't a bad fish. Look at that. Ah, nice for calling our show. Anyway, thank you for tuning in with us. Fishing with Gary, Opal Images. Dave Jones, we thank you for allowing us to bring these videos to you. Tell your friends to watch them. We do appreciate you watching, and we love bringing these to you. Bartlett Lake, mid-March. Tune in for the next one, drop shot.